Bonjour tout le monde, je m'appelle Isaiah, il y a un chat là-bas. Alors s'il interrompt mon enregistrement de cette vidéo, bon, je, je vais faire une prise. Bon, je vais parler encore plus de mon processus créatif, mais je vais le faire en anglais parce que bon, juste comme la dernière vidéo, pour une raison quelconque, bon, je me sens plus à l'aise en parlant de ce genre de choses en anglais. Je vais faire plus de vidéos en français, je vous le promets. Mais j'ai constaté que l'algo sur YouTube, ça me recommande des courses. Bon, des courses. Des cours euh, euh, pour apprendre l'anglais et tout ça. Alors, there's probably, okay, 140. Okay, I memorized it. English starts at 140. But anyways, yeah, so if they're recommending me that kind of stuff, it's probably not really a big deal if I make more videos in English. I'm gonna make kind of almost a response video to this last video that I made, which I approve of. I think it was a great video. I just need to elaborate on a couple more things. Uh, so yeah, if Jack comes up here and interrupts this video, you know, that's the cat. That's the cat's fault, okay? It's not my fault. Y'all get to meet Jack anyway. Even though the one person watching this video probably has already met him. So yeah, I still am talking to myself, and again, I'm comfortable with that. But um, so this idea that I mentioned in this last video that has potential to be a novel, it's getting quite complex, and I just kind of mean in a, how do I put this? In a kind of, it's fantasy, but it's not what you would expect. You know what I mean? It's surveillance. So, but it's a kind of, it's strange how it takes place, and I'm kind of questioning whether it's really a good idea. I mean, it is. It's a great idea. However, I might need to do a little bit more tweaking uh, on this. I might have to tweak this idea just a little bit more in order to fully get it exactly how I want it. Because something still feels a little off. When it feels just right, I'll fully explain the idea on YouTube. I'm an exhibitionist in a certain sense when it comes to my creative process and creativity in general, and the way that kind of the way that I my own process. I'm kind of an exhibitionist about. Bien sûr, je bois. Of course, I'm drinking again. I forgot to say that in the French portion. Of course, I'm drinking. I'm always drinking, man. Um, Unfortunately, I really watched pretty recently some some short videos on like all of the health consequences that come with like drinking, even in small amounts. It is ridiculous, man. Really makes me want to stop. But when you learn French, a certain part of France just kind of dyes your soul. DYES, by the way, for fucking idiots who don't know what I'm saying. I swear to God, I say things sometimes and people just literally don't understand them because, like in that example, dies. They like some fucking retard would hear that and think DIES. I'm not fucking joking, man. I seriously feel like I'm talking to myself a lot of the time in life in general. So it's like, can you not just like whatever? People are so stupid. It's not even that hard to understand, but I swear to God, there are some people out there. I work at a bar, man. I say things a lot at the bar. You know, I try and make jokes or whatever. I try and make, like, kind of banter with the customers or whatever. There's so many people who just, like, can't even understand the meaning of what I'm saying. Because it doesn't fit into this general, like, expectation of what they expect me to say. Expectation of what they expect me to say. This general guideline of expectations which they anticipate me saying. There! Speak correctly, God damn it. Myself. Find a way. uh, anyways, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. I noticed that on the YouTube algorithm, well, it's not even the algorithm, I don't know what I'm talking about. Just on YouTube. When you're making YouTube videos, the amount of views you get is very discouraging because your newest videos are always going to have less views than your past videos because they've had more time to accumulate views, obviously. Right? That should be very obvious, but even still, that's quite discouraging when your newest video only has like 11 views. And you're like, where are all the views? And meanwhile, when your first video came out in that same span of time, when it had 11 views, you're like, fuck yeah! At least 11 randos watch this video of mine. That's awesome. It's a mentality thing. It's nothing else. Nothing more than a mentality. Like you just gotta fucking understand how that goes. Understand that you're likely just talking to yourself in the first place. Like I guess in the case of YouTube specifically, and writing, it's a little bit different. You're pretty much, like, almost certainly talking to yourself in that sense if you're writing fiction. And so, um, there's no need to really freak out about that too much. Edit it, like, I mean, hold on. What did I just even say? Uh, let me, like, correct that sentence again. I've been drinking a little bit, so forgive that. When you're writing, right, as opposed to YouTube, there's no guarantee that there's ever going to be any scrutiny directed towards what you're writing, as opposed to YouTube. Whereas where it's like it's super easy for any random person to give you anonymous fucking feedback, whether that be good or bad, which kind of guarantees its honesty. You know what I mean? You're going to get that kind of feedback if you do YouTube videos. You may or may not ever get that kind of feedback if you're right. Because you got to go through a whole process to even try and get that feedback. I mean, there's beta readers, sure. But I'm not really interested in that. I don't care about having my shit read before it's read by somebody who might publish it. Actually, that's a lie. No, I do. But I want it to be how I want it. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist right now with the shit that I write. And not with the YouTube videos I make. When I do it in French, I'm very perfectionistic, but when I'm doing it in English, I just kind of want you to see, like, my entire mental process. I don't really want to... This video has gone off a lot of rails, by the way. It's gone off a lot of rails. I'll have to watch it back to know how to even title it. Even still, it kind of proves my point. Like, I'm not really worried about it. I'm not worried about how this is gonna be perceived, because I know not many people will even watch this video. And I had no script. That's something else, man. I can do these videos in English, off the cuff, no stopping, just like a 10-minute long video, as it is right now. I mean, it might go longer than that, I don't know. I can't do that in French, man. I have to stop. I have to stop. And in a certain sense, that forces me to actually be more attentive to the subject of the entire video. Some of my more topically focused videos have been in French, because in English, I'll just go off the rails. I'll talk about whatever the fuck I want, just because I need somebody to talk to and I don't have anybody to, so I talk to the camera. So whoever's listening to this, and here's the thing, it's a one-way conversation, but I can hold a conversation with myself just fine, so I'm going on 11 minutes. That's probably the time to end it. I'm kind of really going off the rails now. Yeah, but it'll be a little bit awkward to stop it now, huh? Nah, not really. I haven't finished my drink, though. Yeah, I'll just keep going. Anyways. So, about my creative process. Oh, yeah, this entire point of this video was to make a response to my original video about my creative process. I want to specify that I don't have any kind of goal. And that was kind of the point of the rhetorical question that I posed in that original video, of what is your end goal? Because if you have an end goal, then it's probably not going to work out for you. You probably won't keep doing it. You have to do it because it's just pretty much habitual for you at this point. I remember when I was a kid, I wrote like kids' books. As soon as I saw that medium, I was like, yeah. I wrote a book called Bounces Bounce when I was like, before I was even 5 years old, imitating the kids' books that people had read to me. And looking back on it, not bad for a 4 or 5 year old. Shit, not bad at all. I remember the story. There's this guy named Bounce, and he bounced really high. He was bouncing. He was just the goat at bouncing, man. He could just bounce and bounce and bounce. And this other guy was like, he looked up at him, and he was super jealous because Bounce was just bouncing and bouncing. He was going super high. And then this other guy started trying to bounce, but he couldn't bounce as high. And then Bounce, who was bouncing super high, barfed on this other guy. Now, as soon as he did that, this guy started bouncing super high too. And then they started barfing on each other. The thing that goes through the mind of a 4 or 5 year old Isaiah Rude are unique. It was a good story until they started barfing on each other. I hope that's not just, that history doesn't just repeat itself infinitely. You know what I mean? With my art now. It's a good story until the point where I say, fuck it, and I just want to make it as weird as I can. So, anyway, it's about 14 minutes. That's fine. I'll cut it here. I told you about Bounces Bounce. Should that be the title of the video? Bounces Bounce. I kind of like that. In a way. I didn't even tell the whole story of Bounces Bounce. I don't know that I even still have that little book that I made with a bunch of copy paper. And crayon and pencil. But, If I do, I'll have to tell you all the whole story. It's somewhere. Anyway, this has been, literally the rude guy. And I'm out. And, it's pretty cool that that also has a meaning in French, but it is a little different from the meaning in English. It doesn't quite mean the same thing. Like, in French, rude is impoli. If you were to kind of translate it, whereas, like, I'm pretty sure rude in French is just kind of like rugged. Or, like, you know, alpha. Maybe not alpha, but it's not exactly the same meaning at all. So anyway, this has been me. I have to work later in about 3 hours.